Today is Friday, October the 6th, 2023, and welcome to episode 64 of A Rural Reliance with Canny Couple. I'm Julia.
And I'm Aaron.
We're a small homestead family in rural Southwest Virginia that works every single day on being less dependent on outside sources and more reliant on ourselves. And this is anywhere from our energy consumption, our food consumption, to our money.
Yeah. And today we want to talk about the first part of a two-part series.
Yes. We'll go over our frugality failures.
Yes. And next week that means frugality successes.
So the things we did right and we're continuing to do right, or the things we shifted.
Right.
But this week we want to focus on where we have noticed over the past several, years.
Where we failed from a frugality standpoint.
Together as a couple. So before we got together, I was always a frugal Franny, like always. But I still made bad choices in certain areas.
It was in the back of my mind. I knew I needed to be frugal, but I had a hard time being frugal.
Aaron's a hobby person.
Yes, when one of 22 hobbies come up, you're like, ooh, well, I need this for this hobby,
And it grows.
Yes.
It grows a lot. And I can see before we got together how that would have, even when we were first together, the first few years, that's not on the list, but the first few years there was something. And it's like, I think at some point I'm like, so after this, we're done, right? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I don't remember what it was. Which one?
It was something. I was like, I think we need to slow down. I'm very boring. I'm not that huge hobby person. And we just lost a lot if you were wondering what happened. But I will say in our first month together, we realized very early that we did not want to live paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
Because
you might have heard us before, like within a month, she had major car repair. I had the heat pump in the house go out.
Yes.
And then the lawnmower
had to be replaced.
Had to quit working as well. So three hits, like major.
All over $1,000.
Yes. All over $1,000 or right at $1,000 within a month.
And we didn't go into debt. We were able to cover it. We had to make some decisions very quickly.
We had to cut a lot of stuff right quick.
We had to cut a lot of things right quick. And we really learned very fast this was not how we wanted to live. I had an emergency budget or emergency fund that I had started when I first started working, and I had built it up, and thankfully we had that. It wasn't enough to cover everything. And we did have to make some hard decisions. And I think that was also the first month we were there. We went to a concert. It was our last concert we went to. We decided that kind of lifestyle wasn't for us. We'd rather save our money. It wasn't very expensive. We didn't spend a lot of money for it. But we still made a conscious effort that we probably need to spend more time at home and not go do these things. Yeah. And we weren't homesteading at that point. But it kind of started shifting our mindset quite a bit. And it really made us think, because we had been together for a year, and then all of a sudden we went through these huge things. And I will say, we didn't argue about it. We came together as a couple and figured it out.
Yeah.
We didn't have a choice. We didn't have an air conditioner. We had to get my vehicle fixed. It was the first week we lived together. My vehicle had to be fixed, and we had to get a lawnmower because there's no way you could push mow everything we have around here.
And at the same time, you've heard us talk about using our windows now, and not using an AC. Well, this was before the house update, and the windows made it, they were single pane, old panes that made it extremely hot in the house. It was very hot. So you couldn't regulate it like you can today.
No, we're doing really good regulating now, but at that point we weren't at a place where we could regulate. I had made changes like putting in better curtains, which helped. Also had invested in some box fans because I lived with my grandma. Her air conditioner went out the hot part of the summer before. And I bought some box fans for the house, and I brought those with me, and we've been using the suckers ever since. And they do help. I mean, they're great, and it kept us going until we could get the air conditioner fixed, or get it replaced, because it wasn't a time to fix. It was we have to replace.
Yes.
So it was just one of those things we had to buy the bullet, and I think we had to wait a month. Didn't we have a wait for it because they didn't have them in stock? We had a hard.
We did. It was 3 weeks that we had to wait for the order on that one at that time.
So we learned fast that we had to be frugal.
Yeah.
But it didn't stop us from making mistakes. And we hope other people who are starting this journey of frugality can learn from some of the mistakes we made. So first thing we have not done, and probably one of our biggest mistakes, is we didn't really think to merge frugality and homesteading, those two mindsets together, to really accomplish our homesteading goals with our frugal mindset. Now, did we go into debt for it? No.
No, but it did hurt our budget.
It hurt our budget.
And going into that too, at the same time, to begin with, everything went in miscellaneous. There wasn't a homesteading category, a homesteading budget per month that we need to keep to. You know, we were like, okay, well, we need this for the homestead. We need this for the homestead. We need this, you know.
Cages, but not even just the trees. We had to have cages for the trees. We had to have jars. We had all this stuff on the upfront costs. And while, okay, we have it now, and we paid much better prices back then when we were first starting out, we probably really should have saved up for those and bought slowly instead of buying all at one time and super fast. Right. This was a big fail for us. We really should have looked at this with our savings mindset. Now, I will say we always looked for a really good deal. Don't think like we didn't think like, oh, I'm going to pay full price. We did not pay full price. We always searched deals, and we really learned throughout the years how to save the most money on what we were doing. But we didn't have money set aside for it. It was not built in to our budget like it is now. Now, homesteading is a category. And we have done really well at staying at it.
Yeah. Like, this year we've probably been, let me see, overall.
He's looking up. He has the budget up all the time.
Yeah. The budget stays up for everybody's reference. So I can always.
He can always go to and see.
Calculate. Divide by 9. We're actually under, on average, every month for the year.
So that works really well. And this is to cover any of our, unexpected homesteading needs. So like in November, we already know we have a few things we have to get. I have to get jar lids because it's best time.
Yep.
Absolutely best time. Black Friday. Every time. He's going to go get them, get the best deal. I have to get seeds. Those are the two things we have to get. And we know when to get them. Our focus on trees has really shifted over the past couple of years. We've planted a lot. Now we're going to try to focus more on propagating what we currently have. And really working on, especially the bushes, things of that nature, because they grow so well. Yeah,
and we know there's going to be a few more that we're going to get.
We are.
And that we need to get, but this year we haven't had time to see what has actually
been needed to be replaced.
Right. We don't know how many spots we have available
that are ready. So we will have the whole front yard, which will be a food forest, and we'll be doing that slowly on a budget, and we will be adding trees there and bushes that we propagate. But we're really going to be focusing on the foods we eat and the foods that grow really, really well for us. That's going to be the main focus in the front yard, that food forest, that terrace food forest. I'm so excited for it because it's an area that it's going to take so much extra work off. It really, it's going to be a lot of work on the front end But man, the amount of work it's going to save long term.
Yeah, yeah.
But the food we can produce from it as well.
Right.
It's going to take a piece of part of our property and that's useless for us on the homestead and really make it functional.
Yeah, definitely.
Not having a sinking fund for projects has hurt us big time.
So,
and that's not just homesteading.
No, that's any type of project.
Every building project, everything we have done.
And to begin with, we would be like, okay, we know we need to do this. Well, then when it would hit, destroys the budget for that month. And then you're like, oh, well, I need this and this and this. We knew we needed some of those things, but we didn't factor it into our monthly budget or save up from it from a sinking fund, which we do now for projects.
Yes.
And we put so much aside that we have for things like this.
Absolutely. So sinking funds are a huge thing for us. I love them. We'll never go back to anything else. I think I actually introduced you to the sinking fund concept, didn't I?
Yes, I think because of the
taxes and Christmas. Well,
Christmas
first
club.
it was the Christmas Club. I started that after my very first Christmas working, and I was like, OMG, I can't spend this much money again. I need to have some saved. Like, this hurt. Yeah. And I just learned from there to start saving my pennies and dollars. It also kind of gave me a little bit of money that I could have aside to go and start buying for the next year early, which I love to do. I love to hit certain stores for getting certain things for people and having that on hand, because then I have it and I've got it for a really good price. Or I get some Christmas ornaments for us or something like that at a really good price versus having to go pay full price. I don't like paying full price. 75%, 90% is really nice. We did not put any effort beyond unplugging things into lowering our energy consumption. Well, okay, now, so I can't say that completely because when I moved in, we stopped using that dryer. I bought we bought 4 racks together, and I brought 2.
Yes, so we started hanging stuff up, but besides that, I mean, you knew that was an energy hog.
I did. I knew.
I wasn't taking the time and effort. Everything just went in the dryer and came right back out. Yeah. Okay. But besides that, we might flip a switch on the TV. We weren't looking at, we still had all kind of incandescent light bulbs in.
Yes, the old.
Yes, we weren't,
We didn't have like the ceiling fans out after, we started. Like, I don't think Aaron realized how much the ceiling fans were going to help.
What even setting the air conditioning at levels, we weren't as conscious on that to begin with, until we got some really probably expensive bills probably.
Well, Aaron learned not to set the heat at 80 really early. And I did have energy efficient curtains, but it was more because I'm not a huge fan of being blinded by sunlight. I'm really not in the house, and it always seems to like kill my eyes the way it comes in through the windows at certain times of the day. So I like having curtains. I do not like blinds. So all that was gone. Like, the blinds were gone. The old curtains were gone because they weren't efficient, and they really did help. I remember you actually said once, you were like, I took a nap in the living room. It didn't burn up like normal because the windows were so bad that when the sun hit them, like, it would make the house an oven. Yeah. So the curtains helped. But other than those little things we did, we were not on top of it like we should have been.
Definitely
At
not.
all. At all.
We could save so much more money if we had looked at this to begin with.
Made a lot of small changes, put plastic over the windows, all of those things. If we'd have taken the time, the effort, and the energy to do them. Even doubling up our curtains. We know that from last year. Yeah. Well, 2 years now.
2 years.
2 years. Doubling up your thick curtains, you will not believe how much that helps keep your heat in your room. Yeah. I had gotten plastic to go into our master bedroom because I knew Isabel was going to be born in the winter and she was going to be in our master, and it got cold. And I wanted to try to retain as much heat as possible. She came early. We didn't have a chance to get the plastic on the windows. So
Just
we
put
ended
up
up
extra curtains.
put up the new curtains that were thicker. Helps so much.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it helps so much. So just adding that extra layer, while you wouldn't think it would matter, it really does. So we were so silly when it came to this. We wasted so much money. We bought a lot. This is more current. We bought a lot of stuff early for this house remodel that we should not have bought.
Like
Faucets.
Faucets. We bought, like a 3-hole faucet for a 1-hole, type of thing. Or we ended up with an extra light somehow.
Two extra lights. It's two.
Two extra lights.
But I had to buy two because we used the wrong light in the hallways.
So stuff like that, and then where we bought everything so early, we were way past. We'd forgotten what we had. We were way past return on anything. The only, I guess, thing you can say out of it is you'll see it on our eBay store here sometimes.
We get to resell it.
Yeah.
So we'll get to recoup some of our costs because it's new. We didn't use it.
Right.
But we would have been better off if we just held off. Now, we did get it on sale. We didn't buy a lot of this stuff not on sale.
That's true.
We were really conscious of that. We really kind of looked at things that we wanted. There were things we were concerned about, like doorknobs. We had, Aaron had a friend who was doing a house remodel. He said couldn't get doorknobs. That was a bit of a concern, so we got those. We even got our doors too early.
Yeah.
And we ended up with how many, like an extra door? At least an extra.
We ended up with 2 extra doors. One because we got the wrong size, and the other one was because it was the sliding door, so we didn't have it. We had it with holes, like to put a regular lock on it when it had to be a sliding door. So I mean, stuff like that. We didn't think. I mean, we got good deals and everything, but then we had to pay full price when it came time to get what we needed because we needed it within 2 days
or less.
Yeah.
The kitchen faucet.
Yes.
I needed, and I was like, and that was me not knowing because I didn't open it up and look. I thought it was 1 hole and 2 holes for one for the sprayer. Did not even think to look at that. Had no idea I needed to look at that because I've never replaced one. This is out of my realm. I will openly admit this is completely out of my realm, and that was a shame on me. So I had no idea what I was doing. And I learned very quickly. I made some mistakes, big mistakes. We both did. Because Aaron was pushing to get things ordered, and we did. And a lot of the things we used, but we bought a lot of things way too early. Right. We had a lot of extra tile we couldn't return.
Yes, because we'd got it too early. But we were trying to get it from a sale perspective and get what we wanted. But at the same time, we have how many's outside now? 4 or 5 things of tile that, I guess I'll put up on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, because like the tile for our backsplash in our kitchen, we were just trying to find something we were going to like long term. And we got it on a really good deal.
With that one, though, we thought we were going to be short. And
we did,
went and
he got more. We were able to take back.
We were able to take that back, but I mean, we ended up with way too much. Like, I don't know what we were thinking or how we were calculating.
Well, we had gained an extra 6 inches in there, so we were unsure. And I always,
She always goes over and everything.
Well, not all, like completely over. I used measurements on, now they give you the measurements, like you can measure your area. And so I used that. And we would not have been, like we have a couple of boxes, but it's not like we have 15 boxes. It's like a handful. The flooring we did not get till they started. Now that's where we really went over on the tile.
Yes.
But they didn't get started on it, and it was too late to return it by that point.
Yeah.
And we just had to get what we had to get because it's like 120 square feet. But there's areas where there's not tile, there's some walls, so they didn't need all the tile. And it was big, so it covered a lot of areas.
Right.
So that was there. When you are doing any remodeling, be cautious of buying ahead.
Yeah.
Be very cautious of buying ahead, especially if you don't know when you're going to get to start. Even decorating items. Be very like I stopped after they couldn't start. I really stopped looking at stuff until we could actually use it. Yeah. I had bought a few things on sale, like things I knew exactly where it was going to go. Our hallway cabinets, our bedroom cabinets, because they went on a really good price, and I knew I needed to get them ordered. But in all reality, some of these things, especially if you were on a tight budget and if you could return what you didn't use, will help. Like, we were able to take things back. The few things we were, like a lot of extra plumbing pieces.
We got a lot of that at the end.
Yeah, we couldn't have used it, so we took it back.
Yeah, we were like, if we need this in the future, we'll just go get these.
Get another one. Like, I can't foresee us using all these
pieces and parts.
Fancy, that. Like, I have no idea what this stuff is. And I'm like, I want any plumbing that we're doing to be way less complicated than this stuff looks. Going into debt. This is probably a really big one. So the debts we have went into together, we have done this with a mindfulness that we are in debt. We bought the vehicle. We bought a camper, which we ended up selling. We did the camper van. We knew we were going into debt for those.
Yep.
Absolutely. We did the house remodel. We did this. We knew we could pay off the debt fast, but we would have been better served
if we'd saved up and paid cash.
If we'd paid cash.
Because then the interest that we paid, even though it might not be that much, we still paid some because,
we borrowed money from somebody else.
Right, because, let's say, $10,000 loan for 2 years, and it takes you 2 years to pay it off. You're paying interest that we could have saved up money ahead of time and waited a little bit longer for.
So once the house gets paid off, we have no debt, and we will not be going back into debt.
Everything. So some of the money that we were putting toward for debt will go into a new sinking fund to save up for a future car, for example.
Or the UTV we need in the future. Like, we don't need this right now.
No.
We don't need it right now, but we are going to need it in the next 10 to 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the way we're looking at this. Like, it's not a right now need, it's a future need, but we need to start saving for it now. So we have to look at the budget come, January.
Yep.
Determine how do we save as much money as possible. Really stick to that, because car prices right now are insane. Luckily, we don't need a vehicle. We're okay. We have vehicles at work. We just really need to make sure we're hitting that pretty hard.
Yeah.
And because I can't go back into debt. I can't handle this feeling anymore. This feeling just sits on my chest, and I really don't want to have this feeling again.
Yeah.
I don't want the worry.
And it will, if we plan for it, specifically make other cuts in other areas to go into the sinking fund. Let's say, what if we need it before we have the money saved? Okay, well, then we have emergency fund. Then we have an extra savings. Like we plan on having other money go into other different things that we don't have to worry if we happen to need it sooner. Even
we are as heavy. Well, not right now. We're putting as much toward our debt as possible, but in our normal budget, when we are not this super focused on getting rid of the debt, we are also as focused on saving money.
Yeah.
So some of that money is going to the Christmas fund, gets funneled somewhere else, because we don't need to spend as much money on Christmas fund for all these things. We can put it here. It's just really figuring out, focusing, and narrowing that down. But going into debt was a very big frugal fail for us. Even though we did it with mindfulness, understanding we were making this decision, it's still very hard.
Yeah, from a frugality standpoint, we should have thought of it differently.
We should have. We should have saved the money. And in all reality, we had enough time to save the money.
Yeah.
We really did. We had enough time to save the money because it took forever to get the house started, to find somebody to do it.
I guess the only thing you can say is that we'd secured the loan so much early that we were gaining interest off of it, that it
off
might,
the cash.
right, that it might have helped offset some of the
interest we had to pay.
payments we had to pay.
The next thing is actually homesteading related as well. When we first started homesteading, we started with gardening like all homesteaders do, and we did not learn. We thought we knew it. We thought we knew how to garden.
You know, I was like, oh, I've gardened, you know, in the past with, you know, it's a couple years back, and then I was like, oh, you know, even farther back than that, I used to do it with mom and dad, you know, type of thing. And I was like, oh, we've got this. We've got it. Well, you know, when you get out the old 30, 40-year, probably 40-year-old, maybe 50-year-old rototiller, and it don't work anymore, and you're like, okay, let's go get a new rototiller. Well, we looked at it from a frugality.
He's jumping ahead.
Oh.
You're jumping ahead. This was just grow in the garden. He's jumping ahead. So we're going to combine these two. We also didn't make investments in ourselves and in areas we really needed to. So tell them about your rototiller.
Okay, so we decided we needed a rototiller. Okay, so we look, what's the cheapest? What's the cheapest we can find? $100 rototiller, you know. $100
$120
dirt mover, you know, type of thing, not a rototiller. So I probably spent trying to get it,
trying to get ground broken up. Broken up for like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, I probably spent a good 10 to 15 days.
It didn't touch it.
I mean, it got the top. I got the weeds off the top, but you know, we looked at it from. We should have looked at, okay, what do we need? What's, you know, from not what's the cheapest. What do we need for the long time?
The next year we invested in a 4-tine that got into the ground.
Yes.
And we really needed one that's actually kind of bigger in the back.
Yeah. We
really do need that, but we're making do because we are trying to do no-till gardening,
right.
And so the ground's softer. But so we didn't invest in ourselves like that, and in the garden we just really thought, let's throw the seeds in the ground and let it do its thing, and that did not work out for us. Our first year, I have no idea what happened to our potatoes.
Yeah.
We got one hill, and then he went to dig them. There's no potatoes.
No potatoes.
Anywhere.
None. I don't know if mice, ground moles.
They're gone. There was no sign.
No sign
of any potatoes have been there at all. Period. None. 3 rows. No potatoes at all. So we started there. We tried doing learning how to seed start, and that was a massive disaster in the greenhouse.
Well, that's a failure too.
It was a failure.
Well, in the greenhouse. Seed starting in the house because we didn't invest in the lights. So here's another thing: we didn't invest what we should have and tried to go on the cheaper side. We kept adding little lights.
Oh, we spent so much money on these stupid little lights when we could have just bought the big ones.
And all they did was get leggy.
I mean, I could grow them, but they wouldn't do anything. And then moving them to the windows. The only thing I think I had work were tomatoes. I have a pretty good success rate with tomatoes. I can get them where they need to be and get them to grow. But still, we wasted so much money on these things, and tried to get a good deal and did not turn out to our favor. So we've really learned that we don't know what we're doing. We're trying, and we are learning as we go. And we've gotten a lot better, and we have learned so much in the past few years. I would say Isabel being born and having to be up in the middle of the night to feed her was probably our biggest growth spurt area, because that's what we spend our time doing. We learned how to be better homesteaders.
We learned how to be better homesteaders, and we learned what side hustles we were going forward with.
Yes. Yes. So, next thing is thinking we needed to pay for services that we didn't need or use. We kept a lot of them for a really long time. Like, we're talking 7 years or more.
Yeah, that we didn't have time to watch all these.
Especially at this point.
Right. Like, we had too much other things going on. Like, we might watch one show on there every 3 months or something, you know.
If that.
If that's the case, we just should have bought it for that 1 month, you know, if we really needed to watch it, you know, type of thing. We had way too many. That was a money waste that we could have been saving up for one of these sinking funds for.
Absolutely. That would have been so much more helpful. We just found we actually spend more time watching free TV over paid TV.
Yeah.
We really do. We watch Pluto and YouTube.
YouTube more than we watch anything else.
There's just no reason for us to spend a lot of extra money on a lot of extra services we're not going to pay out. You know, not going to watch. There's
Right.
just no need.
Yeah. The only one, like you might have heard us say, that we still have at the moment is Philo. And we are grandfathered in on the old package, which is $16 a month on it. But
we do watch it.
We do watch it, and it's got MeTV, which has the Saturday morning cartoons that Isabel loves. Yes, so.
And also a few other cartoons from when we were growing up that she really, really that's like the biggest, you know, we have breakfast, do the family thing, and that's something we try to really make sure that we do as a family before we get our day started. Yeah. It's like Tom and Jerry and all of this. It's Bunny. Fun. She loves bunnies, big floppy ears and long legs. But we wasted so much money on other services, and we just did not get our money's worth out of them at all.
No.
And then we decided a lot of them, like, we lost interest in some of the things we used to watch a lot. Like, there were shows Aaron loved, and that was the only reason we paid for the service. And then after a certain point, it's like, I don't really want to watch anymore. Yeah. I really don't want to watch this anymore. I'm done with it. It's just getting repetitive and...
Or...
Political.
Which, don't watch then.
We watch to be entertained. If we want to be entertained, we're trying to find something to distract us, take our mind off of things. That's, you know, if I want to watch politics, watch the news. That's kind of the way it is. And we have done that. We have watched the news on Sunday mornings and things like that if we're in the mood for that. But I would say we spend a lot of time watching Pluto because it's got a lot of classic TV channels that we really enjoy watching, and that's good, clean, easy TV. Yep. And it's free. Yep. I love that. It's free. Energy Star appliances. Now, this was a fail because we had appliances and they worked.
But we should have invested some money, a time or two.
Our water heater.
Well, even the washing machine. We had to buy a new washing machine once. We didn't go Energy Star. We went cheap.
It wasn't cheap.
Cheaper.
Because I wanted...
That's true.
I wanted one that was... I did not realize. I wanted what I was used to.
We didn't realize how much some of the Energy Star appliances can save you now on money.
It's insane.
Like, you can almost recoup some of the cost on those in a couple of years, especially with a lot of the tax incentive rebates that come up from time to time through different things. You know, you can really save some money.
Buy them at the right time.
Yeah.
That was something like we did buy our appliances early. We bought our appliances in September.
Yep.
They got delivered in December. They hadn't even started the house at that point. Like, we're freaking out thinking that these appliances are going to come during the house remodel. No, that's not what happened. But I will say they use so much less energy. Yeah. Like, our washing machine upstairs, I'm running that thing to death right now. Just trying to get through a lot of the things that had piled up and built up. Because we don't really ever have that much laundry. But right now, we have the most laundry we've ever had.
Where we're unpacking everything.
Well, we're almost done unpacking.
Well, remember I told you I found those 2 boxes?
I know. He keeps bringing me stuff. Here's a new box. Because we're having to do it while we're working, but also trying to be parents too, and also homesteaders. So we're just unpacking as we can.
We're doing 4 full-time jobs right now.
It's what it feels like.
Yeah,
it really does. But that washing machine pulls nothing. Like, it does nothing. I can run the washing machine and the dishwasher at the same time, and we can take showers, and you barely see a pop in the electric.
Well, here's another failure that we didn't think about. The stand-up freezer.
It was bad. It was so old.
So to show its age, it is a Ford Philco freezer. Ford, that's right. Freezer. Yeah. So it is actually from the 70s. We sort of did an energy plug into it to see how much it was using. $15 a month at the end when we unplugged it. It was at least doing a month that we were paying for that freezer. So that's why we've reduced it down to 1 freezer. The other one is a
little newer.
It's a Montgomery Ward freezer, a little newer, yeah, maybe 90s. Okay.
It was I brought this one. He already had the tall one.
I had the Philco Ford. Yeah.
He had the Ford, and when my Gram's like, you can take this one. And I don't know why she thought to give it to me, but I'm grateful she did, because
we use it. And
we do. It's full.
Right. We do keep that one full, and we did check the energy usage on it.
It was like $5 or something.
It was like $5 to $8 range a month. So like half of what the tall stand-up freezer was.
And I felt like I can get about the same amount of food in both. Probably a little bit more in the tall one, because it is big. I mean, it was a big freezer.
But it would always ice up bad.
It iced up bad, so you didn't have as much room.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking... How many hours have I spent down there with the mallet?
I don't know, but I remember carrying out like bowls and bowls and bowls full of ice.
Not little bowls. We're talking, I have a big processing bowl. That bowl, metal bowl, full of ice. Like, he was taking out. Yeah. And I didn't get all the ice. Mm-mm. I did not get all the ice. But I got most of it. And, that was just something we have learned, that, if we should have been more thoughtful and more mindful on those things.
Yes. And that's one of the things, you'll definitely hear about next week is an energy meter. I mean...
It was such a change for us. It really opened our eyes.
Right. We saw what we were actually spending,
And we've already talked about it, but I guess we want to expand on it more, really not investing where we needed to. We would go with cheaper sometimes. We would focus on the cheaper option to get by, then have to go back and replace it. And we've had to learn the hard way, like most frugal people do. That's not always the best way to go.
Yeah. There's a lot of times where, spending an extra $5 to last an extra 10 years or something, compared to saving that $5 right now, which, was like a bad decision choice.
Hey, we might have spent more on the bigger tiller, but we have gotten our uses out of that thing, and we'll be getting even more, because we'll be using that tiller. You will see it in future episodes of our YouTube. We'll do videos on this of how we actually move dirt with this thing. It's not easy, but it's something we have. We're not renting equipment, and you can do it. You can absolutely do it, because we have our garden.
We dug out feet
out of that garden
to make it level.
And levelish.
Levelish, yeah. And we used the rototiller for that.
I mean, we really learned how to get that to move, and if we hadn't have figured that out and hadn't had that tiller, I don't know what we would have done. Now, will it go over a rock? No, it will not. No. You have to dig around the rock. That's just what it is.
unless it's like, that one rock we found that was like, 10 by 10 and limestone and
middle of the garden.
Middle of the garden. The only way it probably got it out would have probably been to blast it out.
That was pretty bad. We just put the dirt back over it. We were like, we're done. We did dig some of it out, what we could, but at the certain point, we're just like, there's nothing that can grow deep can go over here.
Yeah. I even tried, like the spikes to break it up. I was out there with a sledgehammer, like
we all were
for days, and break off a chunk here, break off a chunk here, break off a chunk here. It wouldn't split it in two, like like a boulder or something, because it was brittle limestone. Yeah, that's a fun one.
So we didn't make the right investments in ourselves. We really focused, especially early on.
Yeah.
We made some major mistakes that way, but we've learned.
Yeah.
We have learned. And like a lot of people, when you see what tools we use, you're like, well, that's not a very good tool set. I have to say, the tool set Aaron got, while it might be considered the cheaper tool brand, it has done us well. Your Porter cable.
Oh, wow, yeah.
I mean, it has worked for us, for our needs.
Yeah.
We don't need, for the most part. Now, there's just some tools Milwaukee has that we really, really want for, like, long-term tree pruning, those sorts of things.
Yeah.
The little chainsaw, like, those, it's a different story. But for, like, building things and handling things.
Saws, angle grinder, drill, those type of things. Just your basics, I mean,
it's worked so well for us. And I know a lot of people would disagree, but it was an investment we made. It wasn't necessarily cheap because we had to buy the whole set for the first go around. Then we've added on to it as we went.
I think we got it for $199 that
Something
first year we bought it. I mean, it wasn't a expensive set at the time. Even I think it was sort of going out of style even then. Porter cable was.
We've got our use out of it, but this is just to say, like, you're going to make mistakes and you're going to fall backwards, but we're almost debt free. You can dig yourself out of it. You can absolutely do it. You have to be able to identify your mistakes. You have to be able to identify your failures and
how to fix them
and how to learn from them.
Yeah.
How do you not make those failures again? We have learned Julia cannot handle living in debt. Failure, we have learned Julia no longer wants to live like this. How do we make sure we don't do this again? We save up the money before we go and buy. We watch our pennies and dollars. If it's really that important to our family, to our homestead, we save up for it.
Yep, totally agree. And this is something you'll probably hear us talk even more about after December comes. Just because we've got some other things in plan then that will have to make it even more focused on the budget.
Yes. I mean, we're just so hyper-focused right now. And I think because we are so focused on living this frugal lifestyle, it has just really opened our eyes. It has.
Yeah.
It has opened our eyes so much to, like, things that we really should have changed early on. Like, we really should have replaced the light fixtures in the house early. Right. That was not a huge big deal. We could have done that and gotten those done and put fans in the house. That would have helped saved us money. We could have done that slowly, a little by little. Just small things we could have done to really help us. And while you're like, well, replacing a fan, it can be kind of expensive. It is if you're buying the like $500, $600, $700 fan. Ours were under $200. I was very careful. I also had a coupon because for some reason we got a coupon from Home Depot. So I had a coupon and I had to call them like 3 times to force them to take the stupid coupon. But I got my 15% off of those fans. And we got them ordered and they were around $140. It would have been worth it to have those installed beforehand. It really would have for us.
It would have.
And just be more conscious and more effort. Like, you can save money on your electric bill. I know there's frugal people out there who say you cannot. You absolutely can.
You just have to look at what what is your energy consumption? What are your your things that bringing your bill up?
And you have to be willing to make changes.
Yep.
That's the other thing. You have to be willing to make changes. And I get there's some places you're like, well, I can't live with my. I get it. Turn it up. Just turn it up, agree, a little by little until it's completely unbearable for you. There's other things you can do. Invest in, take what you save 1 month and invest in some cooling clothing.
Yeah. Like I was seeing this article today. It was from a meteorologist talking about, how you turn your fans one way, in the summer, and then you flip the switch and turn it the other way in the winter, to push your heat around. So many people in the comments were talking about, but I leave my house set at like 60 something all year round. Well, no wonder your electric bill's crazy, or the opposite, like, oh, I have it set at 79 all year long.
Even at when we were not checking this at all, we were never under 75. Ever under 75. Summer, no. I don't think we ever went under 76. I can't imagine we went under 76 at any point. We always kept it at that range in the summer. In the wintertime, we would take it under 70. We would keep it about 68, 69.
Yep.
And that has always worked well for us. The house really hasn't gotten over 80 too many times. Not all things considered. Mostly whenever I have to do a lot of cooking or canning.
Well, since the house remodel, it hasn't. Before then, in the evenings around 3 to 6, it wanted to get above 80.
Because that's when the sun would hit the house in the windows. Yep. So the windows had been probably the best. The windows and the roof were probably two of the best investments we made, because we could definitely tell. You can't hear anything like you could, and
hear anything.
And you can, like, even the windows, you can't hear anything outside of them. You has to be really loud. Yeah. But you can touch it at negative degrees. Like, you could touch the glass. That's how good these windows are. Can't say enough about them. So, out of all of our frugal failures, which one do you think was the worst?
I will say probably not having a specific category for homesteading at the time, and really watching our budget from that perspective. We were considering it, here's our budget, but here is the homestead, which we're not budgeting for.
We wanted to keep our budget down to as few categories as we could, but we found out very quickly that didn't work for us.
Yeah.
It just didn't. Like, we want to keep our budget simple and easy to manage, but having like just 5 categories for us did not work.
Right.
We needed more, because that's the kind of people we are.
Yeah. So what's yours?
Going into debt.
Of course.
Going into debt was the biggest fail. I felt like we could have really managed that better and done a better job with that, because we do have that mindset, and even though we did it with mindfulness, we knew what we were doing. We went in with eyes wide open, and before this year we had no plans to get it paid off this year. We really had to buckle down and made that decision for certain reasons.
Yeah, I mean, originally we did probably in 3 to 4 year range.
The goal was to have it paid off next year, 2024.
Yeah. I think it's before that, though. Before we decided to up it even more, I think it was like a 3 to 4 year range.
So we always had plans to have it paid off well beforehand, but for us, it was just like, nope, we've got to get this paid off right now. Yeah. Like, it just became more of an urgency, just because I can't handle anymore. So we just decided going into debt is our biggest fail for me.
Yeah. So what are some of your failures? What's some of your biggest failures? If you want to list those down below in the comments, or send us an email to thecannycouple@yahoo.com, or if you want to have any other questions that you want to send over, anything you want to see in a future episode. And now remember, next week we will be doing our frugality successes. So we'll talk about what has drastically worked for us. Maybe you can get some inspiration from it and everything as well. But if you want to see any of our other content, you go over and check out our link tree, which has all of our other links.
And as always, thank you for joining us on Rural Reliance with the Canny Couple, where we work hard, live simple, and enjoy life. Have a wonderful day.